I'm live on Facebook apparently. Okay, this is about the fourth or fifth time now, so if this doesn't work, I'm going to go back to using my phone, but we'll see. So I'm streaming live on Facebook, I think. I'm trialing out a new thing called Lightstream where I can put words onto the screen while I'm talking, and it seems to be working at the moment. Hopefully I'll notice if it stops working. So I've really been wanting to talk about something, been building up to this, and so I feel a bit nervous because it's really important to me. And just going to breathe and let go of that and do my best. So today I really wanted to talk about balancing masculine and feminine energies as the way to living in unity consciousness, as a way to living from the heart, as a way to living a fully spiritually embodied life, really, which is what I'm all about. So I kind of got to this theme for a number of reasons. And the main reason, I guess, that triggered it is that I'm teaching Kundalini yoga online classes at the moment every Monday morning. And the theme this month is love. And as I've been preparing the course and the classes, I've gone back to reading some old material. I've got so many wonderful books. Anyway, I'm just going to show you the cover of this book that I have been reading, which is The Inner Art of Love. I know it will be back to front. Hang on, there we go. The Inner Art of Love by Guru Ratana. She's an amazing teacher. And see the heart at the top and the heart at the bottom? That's kind of what this is about. The upper heart and the lower heart. Okay, so in this book, she articulates everything so brilliantly that I'm going to quote her because she says it far better than I, but she articulates what I know, what I understand, what I believe, and what I teach, but she articulates it so brilliantly. So she talks about the upper heart and the lower heart. And in Kundalini Yoga, we talk about the upper triangle and the lower triangle. So that would refer to our higher energy centers, our chakras. So the ones above the heart, the throat, communication, the third eye, the mind, your intuition, your insight, and the crown connecting us to higher God consciousness. And then the lower triangle, the will, the self-determination, the emotions and sexuality, the feeling nature, and the root, our sense of survival and desire and belonging in the world. Okay, so going from the most dense forms of the manifest to the unmanifest and the formless, going from the finite to the finite, the upper triangle, the lower triangle, or as Guru Ratana calls them, the upper heart and the lower heart. And what she sets out, I'm going to leave this in a minute, my secretary look. What she sets out is that, and I believe this too, this is what I know, is that this new era that we're in, right, this new paradigm that we're at the forefront of, guys, is about coming to live from the heart chakra. So for many, many thousands of years, we've been living from the third chakra, from the solar plexus, and it's been an age of patriarchy. It's been an age of domination and control, and all of that is crumbling away, and we're ascending and we're moving up into a new era, which is about living from the heart and about unity consciousness. Now, those are all wonderful terms. They sound wonderful. And we go, oh yeah, I want to live from the heart. I want to be as one, I want to be one with you. Yeah, baby. Sounds great, doesn't it? And in one way it's as simple as that, and in another way it's actually not. So traditionally those old forms and ways of spiritual practice, of us ascending, of us awakening, has been about transcendence, and that's put the emphasis very fairly and squarely, well, not fairly, but it's put the emphasis very much on cultivating our consciousness in the higher levels. In a sense, it's been about leaving the body. It's been about really going out there and traveling into the vast cosmos of infinite consciousness, cosmic consciousness, opening the third eye, opening the crown, speaking the words of truth, and, feeling our hearts and being very compassionate. But it's been quite disconnected from the lower parts of the body and the chakras and the energy system. And what Guru Ratana says, and what I know and what I teach, and why I'm so passionate about everything I do, is that without both being fully integrated and awakened, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And traditionally, those upper dimensions and aspects of our consciousness of being have been associated with the masculine principle, the masculine polarity, and the lower aspects have been associated with the feminine. So the feeling nature, the emotional nature, the desire, the sensuality has been traditionally denied, overpowered, seen as wrong, bad, or dirty. And the upper centers have been elevated as the mind, a supreme consciousness sitting in a cave meditating, as being something superior, as in wanting to transcend this lived reality. Well, no, what we're about now is bringing those two together and living a fully embodied spirituality. That's where it's at. And that's why it's about bringing the masculine and feminine aspects together, but also doing the work to live at the highest expression of each energy center, because each of these centers has a higher and a lower expression, or a more evolved and more conscious expression. So we can be unevolved and be using the higher centers. You know, we can use our voice and our speech and our communication in an elevated way or unelevated way, but just when we're connected to source all the way through, that things are really working, and then the heart opens. And without the work being done on the lower energy centers to be activated, to be opened, and to be cultivated to their highest potential, the heart won't stay open. Not really. We're not going to be living from that unity consciousness in the field of love. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense, but I'm going to emphasize it now with a few quotes from Guru Ratana. So here we go. So the Aquarian age, that's the age that we're in now, right? The goal is not to escape the world and our bodies, but to honor our bodies as the vehicles of our soul, and to respect all aspects and forms of life. This new heart-centered paradigm embraces all our chakras, our humanness, our sexuality, our emotions, and our earthly experiences. So anything that denies the feminine, anything that denies your feelings, your emotions, your sensuality, your relating, is denying your spirituality and is going to impede your awakening. It's about bringing both together and honoring both equally. So next part, without cultivating the lower triangle, the heart is not going to stay open. Yogi Bhajan, the great teacher of Kundalini Yoga, explained it as when you pour tea into a cup, right? If there's no bottom to the cup, the higher consciousness is just going to come out the bottom and go nowhere. So we need a stable foundation in our lower centers to hold the higher frequencies, if that makes sense. Yeah. So this means that it's vital to embrace our lower centers just as much and to value them just as much as our higher centers. A little bit more, because there's such good juicy stuff in here. So higher center, about stability and awareness, about neutral mind. Cultivating the neutral mind, cultivating our subtle awareness, cultivating our stability of presence so that we don't react to everything, okay? Neutral mind, listening in to spirit. And just as important, just as valuable, just as key, the feeling polarity of the lower centers, our instinctual knowing, the feelings and the physical and the emotional bodies are crucial, just as crucial. The heart chakra is the connector that brings it all together, and where both qualities alchemize and synthesize in non-duality. The upper polarity, the lower polarity. So the alignment and purification of the first three chakras is required to maintain higher states of heart-centered consciousness. It's easy. This is good. It's easy to awaken the higher chakras compared to the lower chakras. It's easy to go sit in the cave. It's easy to sit and transcend when you don't have to interact with people, right? It's easy to feel blissful when you don't have to deal with your shit. Raising the Kundalini awakens the upper chakras, making it possible to experience universal truth, intuitive awareness, oneness, and pure being. You can experience all that, but when we get a taste of the infinite, we may think our job is done, says Guru Ratana. However, our work has only just begun. That was a bit off tune, sorry. The enlightenment, so I've read that bit. So the work has only just begun, guys. Our real human tests come as we activate and express the highest qualities of the lowest centers in what she calls Earth School. Earth School. So, next bit of this, where is this? So key. Right. So she talks about the ascent and the descent. So, you know, so much spiritual practice and there's this search for ecstasy, and my tagline is awakening your ecstatic potential. Okay, so I understand that quest for ecstasy and that liberation, that transcendence. I know it. I love it. I love being there. Okay, but what I also always say, and I know, and she talks about this, it's about the ascent, but then it's also about the descent. So raising the Kundalini, and then it comes back down and through, and we integrate all of these other poles and polarities. And in that is when we have to face our shit and do the work. Because otherwise it becomes super dysfunctional. When we repress the energy of the lower centers, when we deny our emotions, when we deny our sensuality, when we deny our power issues, okay, it ends up in dysfunction. And actually, what Guru Ratana says is when we suppress the feeling polarity of the soul, our feminine, we end up abusing, exploiting, and trying to manipulate and control the parts of reality and ourselves that we deny. It's pretty big stuff. So we raise our energy, we ascend, we transcend. But what is the descending? Because so many people forget the descend. We've got to descend too, right? The descent grounds us in our physical reality and in our bodies. It's the cleansing process. I'm reading her words now. We are obliged to face our issues, our programming, our beliefs, and to feel uncomfortable feelings and emotions. Obviously, not the most popular part, but facing our dark, underdeveloped side is the only way to claim our power. So the descent not only unleashes impersonal empowerment, it gives us the capacity to manifest our soul identity. So you want to manifest your soul's destiny and identity, do the work. So light is great, but alone, up and out of the body, has some quite negative implications. That's kind of the spiritual bypassing route, ladies and gents. So if we only focus on up and out, what happens? We ignore the importance of the body as a divine instrument of our soul. Body, 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 love my body. I teach embodiment, and loving the body is so important. We must know and love the body truly as a divine instrument of the soul. Sexuality becomes regarded as sinful, bad, dirty, shameful. The lower chakras are considered bad. Power, sex, money, emotions, feelings, bad. Okay? Feelings degenerate into neurosis. When we suppress this within ourselves, becomes neurosis, and or when we attempt to suppress it in others, we live in a neurotic society and culture. Human existence is degraded into bad karma. Women are marginalized, and women are marginalized and their roles berated. Women are marginalized and their roles berated. Look at cultures around the world where women are marginalized and their roles berated, and look at what happens in the religion there or the spiritual practice. There's always a correlation. The earth is polluted and raped by greed and disrespect, because you can't rape the earth when you're in connection with all of your chakras, because the earth is our mother. You can't rape your fucking mother when you're connected to your feelings, because it will hurt you too much. Relationships between men and women are too often codependent, antagonistic, and unfulfilling. Yep. Individually and collectively, we observe that when the feminine is ignored or suppressed, the masculine gets destructive, aggressive, and pushy. When the masculine is overlooked or underdeveloped, the feminine gets needy, submissive, and codependent. So both need to work together. Both need to be honored, to be loved, to regarded as absolutely equal within our own beings. And then when we make that shift within our own beings, obviously our outer world will begin to change in line with that. But it does require the work, and it does require the courage, and it does require going into your shit. There was a bit I was going to read to you also from Mary Magdalene. I love Mary Magdalene. I feel like very close to her, you know, have done for a long time. And there's some amazing books that I've been reading by a channel called Mercedes Kirkle, who, she channels Mary Magdalene. And I've lost my page, I think, that I had bookmarked in here. So I'm just going to ad lib. Can't find it now. All right, so, these books are about Mary Magdalene, by Mercedes Kirkle. So in this channeling, but again, you know, why do I need to refer to an external source? I know this myself, but Mary Magdalene says, so important for men, only because, again, in this patriarchal system, men have been socialized to denigrate or deny emotion and feelings, very much so, as have been masculinized women. So there's this endemic problem of the denial and repression of emotions and feelings. And what Mary Magdalene says, it's vital for us all to reconnect with our feeling nature. This is a vital part of the arising of the feminine, not so that we get lost and overtaken and overwhelmed by them, you know, but to feel them fully. And then also another aspect of the feminine. Why do we feel them fully? Because they take us back to God. Because when we feel fully and embrace what's happening for us, if we just embrace and allow our emotions, all of them fully, we can, through that opening to feeling, surrender to the divine and the divine quality that we're actually yearning for, that is missing in that moment. And it's healing. It's healing, because emotion is simply a way of connecting to the divine, or the divine that's missing in that moment. It's always a signpost to what is needed. We must listen rather than repress, deny, abuse our emotions and feelings. And same with inclusivity is another aspect of the feminine. So this era is no longer about power over, it's about inclusivity. How do we co-create? How do we work together? How do we listen to these two different voices and aspects and bring them together with mutual respect and honoring? That's what this is about. So balancing masculine and feminine, balancing the higher and lower triangles and uniting them in the heart. That's what this time's about, and it's inviting us all to do the work. So for some of us, this might be cultivating your stable awareness and your neutral mind, so that you can connect that higher mind consciousness with the emotional self and hold yourself. So for many women, that might be way to go. But the other aspect of it is doing the work of purifying and cleansing the lower centers and reconnecting to our feelings, sensing self and the subtleties of that, and activating the higher consciousness levels at each center, so that we're living in full integration. So we're full-bodied spiritual beings on the journey of awakening, living from the heart and allowing the pure consciousness of God, Goddess, light, whatever you want to call it, source, to flow through our hearts and our beings. That's it. I hope this stream has worked this time. How long is it? Oh my God, I've waffled for 20 minutes. It's a really long one. So I hope it's worked. If you like what I've said, please share. And if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to see them, hear them, and we'll answer them. Thank you for being with me. Much love, and Sat Nam, Sat Nam, Sat Nam.